Mikey says, Keith, who starts on Saturday? Forrest or Kuhn, McCowan or Bernardo?
If it was me, and it's obviously not for a very good reason, I'm going Forrest all day long, just all day long, and I'm not doing it out of sentiment. I'm doing it because you saw when he came off the bench the other day the impact that he had. He got his goal, obviously, right in a fairy tale in the process, the 94th minute, but it wasn't just that. The impact he had down that right-hand side, the chances he was creating, the way he was, running at people, it was just peak James Forrest. And James Forrest does tend to peak at this time of the year, doesn't he? For me, and Nicolas Kuhn has been excellent, and he is a really good player, and he'll probably feel, as if he's deserving of a start in the cup final, but not for me. It's James Forrest for me all day long. And the Bernardo and McCowan one, I would probably have gone for Bernardo maybe a little earlier in the season, but everything that I've seen from McCowan, I've been quietly impressed by. So that one's almost a coin toss, that one. But in terms of Forrest or Kuhn, it's Forrest for me all day long.
You agree with that, Andy?
I think back to Eddie Jones. Remember the older England rugby coach? He didn't talk about substitutes. He's talked about starters and finishers. I think that's where James Forrest is best. He can be a guy who can still come on in the clutch moments, end of games, and get big moments. As you obviously saw at the weekend. So I still think Celtic's best starting three is obviously Maeda on the wing. Through the middle.
Jota.
On the left, obviously, him being injured, but and Kuhn. So, but I think, obviously that with Jota being out, you have to put Maeda out on the wing. I think Admida's had a really sort of strong finish to the season. So, listen, I can see them going with that, and then depending how tight the game is, Forrest coming on and having a big hand in the latter stages. But I agree with Keith. I think Luke McCowan. I think it's not easy going for somebody like Dundee to and the expectation levels there to walk into a Celtic squad full of international players and with a demand to win literally every single game and to go and challenge and win titles every single time. And I think he's coped with that step up remarkably well, and I think he fully deserves a starting slot if he gets one this weekend.
David Gillespie kind of agrees with you, Andy. Says, which one gives you the bigger lift coming from the bench? For me, it's Forrest.
Why wait? Just get him on.
No.
Start him. And by the way, look, does it matter? Probably not. It's not going to make any, whether it's James Forrest or whether it's Kuhn, it's just a marginal sort of a gain or loss either way. It's not going to change the outcome of this final. This final has got bloodbath written all over it. For me, I would send James Forrest out there and just terrify them. Just get out there and terrify them.
Because he's got a great record at Hampden as well, isn't he?
Of course he loves the space. It's such a big pitch. And I kind of get the feeling with it that Aberdeen, there's real scar tissue. There's scars that haven't had time to heal. When Aberdeen started the season so strongly, what was it, after 11 games, there was nothing between them?
It was 11 wins in a row up to Celtic Park when they drew 2 each, wasn't it?
That's right. So, phenomenal start to the season. And the worst thing that they could have done was they went to Celtic Park and they got that draw. And then Celtic said, right, okay, it's time to flex the muscles a little bit. And a couple of weeks later, they had Aberdeen at Hampden in the League Cup semi-final and they battered them by 6. And since then, Aberdeen, you can trace Aberdeen's decline this season straight back to pinpoint it to that afternoon at Hampden. And they'll be returning there, same stage, same team, same opponents. And as Andy said rightly, just a couple of weeks after, the B team went up with Pittodrie and hammered them their own pitch. So for me, I think Aberdeen go into this. I think they're going to be. I genuinely suspect that mentally they're going into this in a really bad place. And even if Jimmy Tilleen gets them up and gets them going, and the fans are there, and the minute Celtic get on top of this game, be it just with the opening goal or just the momentum of the match itself, Aberdeen will start to panic a little bit because they've been on the end of some really severe doings. And this one, you know, I think that the worry is for Aberdeen that they're going into this hoping not to be humiliated. And that just about seems to be the best that they can hope for at this point.
It's absolutely crazy. 1990, Andy, since they actually won the Scottish Cup, Aberdeen. But I think he's right. You can't create an argument for Aberdeen winning on Saturday, as bad as that sounds.
And you think as well, I mean, it's crazy that a club that were so consistently throughout that period where Rangers were down the divisions, were so consistently the second force in Scotland. And listen, they came so close a few times. We got a lot of cup finals under Derek McInnes and just couldn't get over that line. Only that one League Cup win was at 2014. So, yeah, listen, I think Aberdeen fans can be disappointed with the lack of silverware that they've enjoyed over the last 3 decades. Listen, they've got a puncher's chance, but what a shock it would be. And it seems ridiculous saying that team sitting 5th in the top flight, you would regard it as a huge shock, but I think it would fall into that category just on the basis of how dominant Celtic have been, especially in these heads-to-heads with Aberdeen. And, you know, if they can, you know, you're obviously talking about that result back at the 2-2 draw at Celtic Park at the beginning of the season, but, you know, a lot has happened since then. Aberdeen had a long, almost probably an even longer slump after that sort of that period of your top form, and I just wonder what, obviously they really limped home in the league. Obviously, ended up finishing 5th with that defeat at Tannadice. I just wonder what that has done to their any remaining sort of sense of belief in the camp. Will that strip them, or does it perhaps galvanise them? Do they go, right, we've got nothing else to lose here? Do we out and we go out all guns firing? I'm not sure that. Listen, as I said, I just think Celtic are, you know, even though as I said, the B team, the reserves and the team are far too strong for Aberdeen. I can't imagine that with a treble on the line. And you've got to remember, as well, okay, guys like Callum McGregor have won plenty of these, but you know Adam Eders talk about he's not won a treble. You know, Liam Scales, I remember speaking to him after the semi-final at Hampden. It'd be his first treble. There's members of that team that are desperate to get this job done. So I just think it'll be too strong with all those things considered.
I think